This presentation will be on a case study about feral cats, an invasive species. Introduced species in Australia have often led to unintentional and sometimes unwanted environmental changes. This is thought to be attributed to the fact that when introduced, these species have the ability to become invasive as they lack the natural predators and parasites that would otherwise control them. In Australia especially, invasive species threaten the unique native biology and thus have the ability to reduce biodiversity. Their abilities to reproduce and adapt swiftly into their introduced environments makes them especially deadly. Feral cats are one such species. Feral cats were believed to have been introduced into Australia sometime during the early 1800s. However, it wasn't until the 1840s that they started to cause a stir, leading to a significant decline in the populations of small animals, significantly that of the eastern-barred bandicoot. These cats have the ability to spread quickly across the land and thus have the ability to spread diseases and infections into native animals. One such disease is known as toxoplasmosis, and it has been noted that it is the most important disease that cats project to native wildlife, as well as to humans. It is a parasite that is predominantly passed on through the mishandling of animal feces. It has come to understanding that pregnant women, those undergoing treatments such as chemotherapy, and others with HIV, AIDS, and other immunologic problems are at a significantly higher risk of further immunological problems and birth defects if exposed to toxoplasmosis. Because of this, control methods have been put in place. Some of the main control methods include the baiting of dried meats, secondary poisoning through rabbits, and the use of bait covered in flavor enhancers. All approaches, however, proved to be ineffectual and thus more research was conducted. Another study suggested that the poisoning of mice carcasses that were then used as bait proved to be rather successful when prey was low. And thus this method was put into place in the 90s. Other methods include fencing, shooting, and lures. These control methods, according to the Department of Agriculture and Fisheries, include fencing, shooting, and lures. With fencing, there are different forms, the most effective being those of an electric nature. Through this, particular places that are in need of protection from feral cats can be protected. Shooting involves pretty much what the name implies. Cats are coaxed out using fox whistles before being shot after identification, while lures are used to mimic distress calls of animals that feral cats prey on, and thus draw them out to a trap site. These control methods are essential not only to control feral cats from causing the extinction of even more native wildlife, but also in an effort to protect Australia as a whole. Some scientists fear that if the rabies virus were to ever penetrate Australian soil, feral cats could be a major carrier due to their extensive dispersal. It has been shown through a variety of studies that wounds caused by feral cats, rabid cats, are more damaging than those by rabid dogs, because while dogs tend to bite arms and legs, cats have the tendency to attack the head and face, which results in faster transmission and thus lessens the chance of a successful treatment. Despite vigorous efforts put in place by the government, feral cats are still a huge detriment to the Australian environment, and because of this, further research for their control and regulation needs to be conducted.